code snippets can make any developer more productive and more efficient. They're quicker than remembering the syntax for things you don't do very often. They're quicker than typing, even if you remember the syntax for for loops and ifs and elses. And they're certainly quicker if you think, wait, what's the order of the parameters to that call again? I want to, write a file to the hard drive or go fill a data adapter or something. Snippets make you more productive. And Visual Studio comes with a ton of great snippets, and you can go and get more from the web, and you can write your own. They're just XML. But Snippet Designer really takes it to the next level, and it's a free tool, an add-in for Visual Studio that you can get from Codeplex, and it just makes working with snippets so much easier. Here's Visual Studio. I have the Snippet Designer installed into this copy of Visual Studio 2008, and I've got some code open. It happens to be Visual Basic code. It really wouldn't be any different if I was working in C#. And imagine that this line of code represents something that I actually have to do all over the place, not just in this app, but in all kinds of apps, and I don't want to just copy and paste and hand edit. I want to turn it into a snippet. Well, it's as simple as right-clicking and saying Export as Snippet. That's going to generate a .snippet file for me, which is helpful, and I'll show you that file in a minute. But it's also going to open that file in a very different looking view. This is not just showing you the raw XML. It's another view on that underlying XML. There's a tiny little toolbar up here that includes things like the snippet name. I'm going to call my snippet make 10 squares because that's what it does. Apparently spelling squares is going to be a challenge. Make 10 squares because that's what it does. And then I'm going to save the snippet. And it automatically saves it in the correct path for where Visual Studio looks for code snippets. And it is organized by language, so this is going to go under Visual Basic. And it suggests a name based on the name of the snippet. Great. Let's go back into here and use the snippet. So it's under my code snippets. I'm just going to press tab, down, and tab, and in goes my snippet. Now, if I'd copy and pasted this code, you can expect that I'd have an error message because I'd be dimming up the squares array twice. But when you put in a snippet, it has collision detection and fixes up the name so that sort of thing won't happen. You might not like squares one, you might have to fix it, but it's a good start. But if you are already a snippet user, and I hope that some of you are, you may be familiar with this kind of snippet. Let's go iterate through a collection where we come up with these highlighted spots for substitutions or replacements, and the yellow one is because that's where the focus is. My highlight color is yellow, and I can fill it in. I don't want to iterate through a collection of strings. I have a collection of integers, so I can say for each SQ as integer in squares, and then carry on about my business and do what I need to do inside. If you're worried that your coding partner will come back from where they just were and notice that you used a snippet, you can turn this highlighting right back off. So those kinds of replacements in a snippet are highly useful, and you can obviously imagine that we'd like to have them in here. No problem. The Snippet Designer takes care of that for you. So highlight, in this case the 10, we'd like that to be replaced with some sort of a place for people to type. Now right click and say make a replacement. It does two things. First of all, it substitutes $10 where we had the literal before, and it adds this line down here. And 10 is not a really good idea. Let's call it limit, and we can have a tooltip. I'm going to call it number of elements, and the rest will be fine. Okay, I'm going to change the name of my snippet to just make squares and use save as to change it to make squares. We don't need all this path in here. Okay, now I promised I'd show you what the XML looks like. Here's the My Code Snippets folder where it's been saving these snippets for me. Let's just bring up a notepad and drag the original make 10 squares in there. You can see really not a lot of XML, but it was nice not to have to type it. And with the substitutions, the replacements, it gets a little longer. We have this extra stuff in here. You could learn to do it, but why should you? I also want to show you that when Visual Studio is editing the snippet, it's really editing the underlying XML, and changes to the underlying XML will be immediately reflected as well. So I've made a change here in Notepad, and I'm going to save it, close it. Visual Studio is flashing at me. It's saying it's been changed outside the editor. Sure, let's reload it. And now you can see here the description has been filled in. I could have also done it here. We can round trip back and forth between the two of them because this is just another view onto the XML. So let's use our new snippet. And now we have the opportunity, I'll say 20 instead of 10, press tab, and this guy gets changed to 20 as well. And that's important because one of the real sources of error for developers is that you don't change things in enough places. So you pasted it in and you changed it to 20 in the first place, so you dimmed up 20 of them, but then you only initialized 10 of them because you forgot to change it in the second place. Snippets just insulate you from that. The other thing that I wish I had time to show you, but it's a whirlwind top 10 tour, is the way that snippets help you, that the Snippet Explorer helps you to figure out what else you've got going on. Search for all the snippets in all the different parts of the trees that have the word while in them, or the word SQL in them, or the word file in them, and to preview the code that's going to be generated for you, rather than inserting it into your application and saying, oh no, not what I wanted, and backing out again. You simply have the ability to see, yep, that's the one I definitely want, and you're going to insert that snippet. Working with snippets makes you more productive. Writing your own snippets makes you more productive. Using the free Snippet Designer tool to write your own snippets takes it to a whole nother level. So be sure to try that one as soon as you can.